Did I say Crypto Basel? We're live.
Cool, let me post the link.
Yep, Crypto Basel. Perfect. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Crypto Basel 2020. We are your hosts, Lady PheOnix and Coldie.
What's up, everybody?
So Chris will be joining us, aka Jillionaire will be joining us in a little bit. He's actually driving through the jungles of Mexico right now, where he had an engagement. I think he's like filming, making a new movie, doing a new song. He's up to something awesome. So yeah, hold tight. In the meantime, Coldie and I want to talk to you guys about what we're up to. We've been getting a lot of questions about, okay, are you guys like event producers? Are you guys gallerists? Are you guys like all these questions? So we wanted to answer like, who are you, what you're up to, and what the heck is Crypto Basel, and how you guys came up with that idea. We've gotten that quite a bit. So Coldie, you want to kick it off, or you want me to?
Yeah, no, I'll kind of hop in there.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people around here have, in the last 2 years since the NFTs have blown up, I started, just making art on Super Rare. And through that, I became a collector as well. So, all those things for me started to merge together. And back in March, which seems like 2 years ago, when I did the first BTC show in CryptoVoxels, I just did it for me and my artist homies to have a show together because the show got canceled because of COVID. But now, we got 5,000 people in 3 days, and that blew up the opportunity for needing events in the metaverse. So, that kind of got me into this whole other world of not only being an artist and a collector, but also now a curator and like a event producer. And these are things that throughout my life I've been going to music festivals nonstop. And it's funny, me and my friend, every single time we'd walk around these festivals saying, man, if we could have our own festival, it would be the sickest thing ever. So it's super fun to now be able to create a festival for something I love and share it with the community. And that kind of brings in me and PheOnix are now partnering up on Crypto Basel, all these events. There's a lot going on. So I can let her talk about her expertise, but we each have this special sauce that we're bringing together to really make some dynamic events and educational series. And that's kind of me in a nutshell in this one.
Cool. Thanks, Coldie. Yeah, so a lot of people ask too, like, how did you and Coldie get together? How did you find each other? Coldie and I met at an art fair in San Francisco about 4 or 5 years ago now. And I was so impressed by the lenticulars. He had his UFO lenticular out there. He had some other things, but I looked at that UFO lenticular and I'm like, man, that looks, I feel like I could grab one of those and pull it out of the artwork. It was so dynamic and so interesting. And I said, God, I gotta keep in touch with this guy. And, thanks to the community on Instagram, we've been in touch ever since. And so a little bit about me. I'm an art curator. I have a really wide background. I have a background in biomedical engineering. I have a background in food and beverage distribution. I'm a visionary and a creative. I come from an artistic family. And I generally am someone that's so curious that if I want to do something, I figure out like the basics of doing it, hackathon style, and then get started. I had started my first venture at 19 years old. Went on to, start something else and join other companies. Fast forward, I left one of the companies in the food and beverage space that I was a part of in New York City in about 2014, moved back to California where I'm from. was taking care of my grandmother at the time with my family. She had Alzheimer's. She passed at the end of 2019, and she's looking down on me now. She's stoked for everything I've been up to. And yeah, part of taking care of someone who has, a disease like Alzheimer's is understanding your own personal self-care, understanding what you personally need to be well enough to continue contributing to someone else's lifestyle, to someone else's wellness, to someone else's happiness in a sense as well. And I got really depressed. I got morbidly depressed. And my mom, who's an artist, said, hey, let's go take an art class at the local college. I think it'll help, get your juices flowing again, and it will help inspire you. So we did that. Little mother-daughter time was wonderful. It was a mixed media collage class. And she was right. That old dusty depression, just like fell off, and I was feeling inspired again. I was feeling happy. I was doing art with my grandmother, who was stoked. Yeah, and I started posting my work onto Instagram. I started posting other people's work to Instagram, and really built up a community there by being excited about creating, by being excited to feature artists, by being excited to just be in conversation with folks around their creativity. It gave me a new lease on life. I was morbidly depressed. So finding art in the digital community through Instagram made me so happy and so rejuvenated. I said, you know what? I've done all these other things in the past, but I will dedicate the rest of my life to art, because if it, helped me move past my depression, I know that it can help others as well. And so fast forward, have a Instagram community of about 200,000 citizens of the Yes Universe at yesuniverse.art. Have made some really great friends, through the Instagram community. I organized my very first art show in 2018 with the Museum of the African Diaspora through Instagram. You should just go on and look at my highlights on my personal, which is at Yes Lady Phoenix on Instagram, and look at everybody who's like crazy, crazy popping now. I mean, they were already popping in 2018, but they've like blown up from, photographing Barack Obama to, working with Beyonce on her music videos and her, albums, and Black is King, and, cover of magazines. I'm so proud of everyone who was in that first show. It was the first augmented reality show that involved all African-American people, Africans from the diaspora. It's weird to say that in 2018, that, hey, it's a tech show with all Black people. Woo. But yeah, we, I think as a humanity have gotten really far, but there are some things, some really small things that we could do better. So I think we're trying every day. But yeah, so that was the first, and it was really cool. And from there, I've just been organizing shows, getting together with folks, selling art, and like trying to do as much as possible with the amount of oxygen I have in my lungs and the amount of sunshine I have in my heart. And so my grandmother would always say, get as far as you can while you still have daylight, while the sun is still up and shining favorably on you. So fast forward to me and Coldie, hit Coldie up in DMs and was like, hey, do you want to chat? And so we started like talking. I think it was initially like, do you want to be on the Yes Universe podcast? And then, we just caught up on life and started talking about our mutual interest. And from there, we formed a bond and formed a company. And one of the arms of the company is doing events. And so he and I will have what we call harebrained ideas. Crypto Basel is one of those. CryPTOART Week was another one, and we have several more in the works. And so yeah, just we shoot ideas across each other, and we say, hey, what do you think about this? Do you think that we have the bandwidth to do it? Do you think that we have the resources to do it? And if it's a yes, then we put our hearts and our minds together, and we bring an event that we feel will elevate the community, bring the community together, and also pass on massive amounts of value to the community in the effort to help artists elevate their game and become more sovereign and get money. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Coldie, did I cover it?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think it's just it was a lot of synchronicity when we met at that art show. That was pre crypto art for me. It was the same type of thing where I needed to kind of shake myself up and get back out into the art world. So I literally packed up my car with all my physical art, like literally filled the car, showed up to the art show and set it up. And I set my intent to just meet somebody cool. You know, there's no guarantees when you do an art show. Same thing as when you sell a piece of crypto art. It's not, you don't know if anybody's going to care, but you do it for yourself, and you do it to kind of like work on your chops and just practice talking about art. And you know, I'd have to say, you know, I remember meeting you back then. It was just like this cool connection, and then it was just like when you meet somebody and they just like disappear because they walked away. It's like, wow, that was cool, and like there was just this like cosmic seed planting, which was great. And we touched base over the years, and you helped me do some shows up here because you had some contacts with some more local shows. So it's been great, and now it's fun to
Yeah.
just kind of roll up our sleeves and hit this new, you know, blossoming space that just, you know, there's so many people, like we're all new to this. I mean, I feel like I'm the grandpa and I've been in it for 2 years. So, you know, there's so much learning that we're all doing that for me it's really rewarding to be able to have these talks because, you know, some people don't understand just because they started, and there's no shade on that. You know, we all were starting at one point, so why not help each other so we can, the tide will raise all ships. And you know, it's just personally rewarding. And that's, I've also gotten a lot of people have hit me up, they're like, are you still like making art, or are you just like a event guy now? And it's pretty funny because, you know, I live and breathe art. You know, like I'm always making art, but at the same time, this is kind of an extension of creativity for me, which actually helps the art making. I'm not just doing a portrait or doing something. I can, you know, build a community and then build myself and come back and forth. And that's just how my brain works. So it's all copacetic. I'm actually trying something super unique where I'm going to be everybody who registers for the show and they drop their ETH address in their registration. I did an animated Coldie style event poster, which is my love. I went to went to concerts my whole life. I have, geez, 100 concert posters under my freaking bed. And what I wanted to do always was be a concert poster maker. So now making one in 3D that's moving, that was a creative milestone that I just created for myself. And it'll be tokenized off of my fine art account. So I'm creating a delineation where if you want a Coldie, you know, one of one fine art, it's on that account, so you can verify the scarcity. But I think there's also room to have, you know, another account where you can experiment with multiples and not,
Absolutely.
you know, because I'm all about scarcity, but at the same time, I'm like, well, this is something cool that I want to share. So why shouldn't I be able to do that? So I'm always experimenting. And I think that's one of the key takeaways for anybody, anywhere, especially if you're tuning in and you're new. Know that you should experiment, and that at the end of that experiment, just like when we were in school, when you cut the worm open or whatever, you're gonna have a result, and that's fine. That's just what it is. You know, maybe it was good, maybe it was bad. And this is a whole new experiment for me, as are these events. We also, just to kind of pop in there, we've built galleries around a lot of these panels. So you're going to be able to walk around the space when we have our talks. So, you know, for example, Slime Sunday and Blau have a gallery. So we're going to be in their gallery while they're talking. So you can physically be around other people, be chatting, check out the art. Same with, we have a Sats Moon gallery. We have a talk with him today at 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. So we're bringing.
You have a Sutu gallery you were throwing up?
Yep, yeah, Sutu gallery. So we're taking this from both angles. The first time it was YouTube streaming, great success. We got great feedback. Now it's taking it to the next level where we're integrating the galleries with it. So we're all building. So it's, as you're watching these things, we're taking steps each time, and we're listening to the community for what you guys want. So this is a platform where I'm open ears. You know, I love to hear what you love. I would love to hear what you would like to see next time. So I mean, we're in this together. So let's make a cool event that you guys want to come to, not just what Coldie and PheOnix put out, because we are basically shepherds and Sherpas for everybody here to bring bigger and better things. So, you know, that's kind of also kind of why I'm interested in doing this, because we all need to have our little thing that we harness and we bring forward. You know, I happen to
Absolutely.
like doing events and making art. You know, you might be into writing and filmmaking, or, you know, whatever your little special niche is, harness that power and make something, because there's so many voids in this space that need passion, that
Totally.
if we all do that, this space will, it's going to be the adoption we're looking for. You know, it's not, we're not
Absolutely.
going to get mass adoption by sitting on our hands, you know. So this is a call out to the community. Like, just step up in your own way. Maybe it's 5 minutes a day. I don't care. Like, do something that's impactful to you and to others, and it'll help everybody thrive.
Absolutely. And I'd also like to add, like, in the community, if you find points of friction, or in your practice, if you find points of friction, welcome that. It's in the friction that you, A, build strength, and B, build skillful means for understanding how to take a 1 or 2 dimensional situation and see it, you know, totally in 3D, 4D, 5D. And doing so makes you a more skilled practitioner, makes you a better artist, makes you a more valued person within the community, because you understand how to successfully deal with challenges, right? Like, take the lemons in your life, whether in community or personal, and plant the seeds. And instead of, you know, thinking that life has handed you lemons, you can give life 2 lemons by growing a grove and making the best lemonade there ever was, right? So um, it's really an opportunity for a mindset shift, you know, a shift in perspective, because this is such a new space, a new community. I remember when, like, way back, like 2015-ish, you know, when Bitcoin was like, oh, Bitcoin, what is that? Is it a scam, or is it like a thing? Um, I was super interested in how art and blockchain could, you know, could come together to free up artists, right? And I didn't know enough. I felt really intimidated. And so I want to say there are easy ways. If you're you know, watching this and you're thinking, well, I'm not an artist. This probably doesn't apply to me, but I am interested in blockchain and trying to figure out other applications or how to, you know, be involved. There's information everywhere. Join the Twitter community. Join the Twitter community and put in NFT, crypto art, blockchain, cryptocurrency, anything, and look at the top people in that space and go through and read their stream, read the different articles they may have linked. If you have Cash App, and this, you know, Crypto Basel is not yet sponsored by Cash App, but I love Cash App. But Cash App has a feature when you toggle over to BTC from Cash, where you can read the latest trending articles from Coinbase and, you know, maybe Cointelegraph, other publications. So I'm saying that to highlight that it's really easy to get the information and to be in community with people if you desire. I would recommend that everyone make themselves knowledgeable about some aspect of the blockchain and how to win in this digital economy. I mean, like Coldie was saying, whatever your passion is, just, you know, hammer in on that every single day and figure out how to use emerging technologies and new technologies to give life to your passions. Yeah.
Yep, that's
Um,
wonderfully said.
yeah. So, Goldie, can we talk about the collab you have coming up, or is that like
Yeah,
top
I think
secret?
it actually just I think it got released officially today. So
Oh, did
yeah,
it? Awesome.
I am doing a collaboration with FEWocious,
Whoop
and
whoop.
yeah, me and FEWocious are getting together, and and we're putting the final touches on. Um, it's really fun for me to collaborate with other artists, especially people who have a different aesthetic style than me, because you're definitely in a relationship where you're talking about the themes. You're like, yeah, that's rad. She drew the scene, and then she sends me the stuff, and then it's the ball's in my court, where it's like, okay, there's the FEWocious style. So how do I complement this while keeping it FEWocious, but then adding the Coldie spin onto it? So I'm taking her stuff, I'm slicing, I'm dicing, I'm pulling it into 3D. I'm creating this little, like, in my mind, these 20-second loops are little short films. So there's a beginning, a middle, and the end, and there's a they got a loop. If your videos don't loop, I mean, I'm into the loop. I think you can get lost in a loop. If it ends, you're kind of like, oh, that's over. Oh, it's starting. To me, you don't want that to happen. You want someone to be like, wait, how long have I been looking at this thing? Right? That's the goal of art. If you're at a gallery, how many times have you gone to a gallery and someone's sidestepping painting after painting without even stopping? It's like, are you even at the gallery right now? Like, so for me, I want that attention. So as I'm building this thing, it's super fun and dynamic to be using, her assets, and then going back and saying, hey, what if we added, it's outside. So it's like, well, maybe it should be raining, or maybe there should be like some clouds in the sky. And she's like, oh, sick. You guys know FEWocious. Like, she's just like a bundle of joy and energy. She's like, oh my God, then she'll run over and she'll draw it and she'll email it to me. And then I'll throw it in. I'll say, what do you think? She's like, oh, that's sick. What if we do, the back and forth has been awesome. So it's getting super close. We are going to be the first auction on the 7th. I believe that's actually, I don't know. I'll have to look up. Now I'm on the spot. It got,
The 7th is a Monday.
is it a Monday?
Yeah, so it's this coming Monday.
Perfect. So I'm right. Yeah. So it'll be the first one, and we're stoked to have the opening slot. And Super Rare is doing the auctions now, which is it's uncharted territory. No one has any idea. This one's going to be a 24-hour quick auction, which, if you know the Coldie method, I like to let everybody have plenty of time to bid, but I think it's fun to also have like the lightning round, where it's like, okay, one day, make it happen, and just see what the community thinks. So I'm really proud of it already. I think it's going to add to both of our collections, because it's just it's out of each of our norms, but we're complementing each other in such a great way that I'm just super stoked. Can't wait to share it. So yeah, that's that.
Right on, man. Shout out to FEWocious. I'm excited to see your drop. Shout out to Super Rare. They've always been really supportive of us and what we do individually and together as Universe Contemporary. So do you want to let's talk about what Universe Contemporary is really quickly, because we are, a bit rare in who we are. So Universe Contemporary is a gallery, and it's also a consultancy specifically for crypto art and crypto artists. And we advise, collectors, we advise institutions, and we advise sort of like private entities on their collections. Crypto art, digital art, if you want to put traditional art on the blockchain. Yeah, so I guess that's just me shouting us out.
Yeah, I mean, if I could jump in, we're kind of just,
yeah,
there's 360 solutions that, like we were saying, there's so many areas in this space that, there's people who just are looking for help with, are you hearing that?
Yeah, you getting a Skype call?
Yeah, I don't know how to turn that off. Yikes. Okay, anyways. I apologize for that.
It's okay.
This is
Yeah,
when
I was just going to say, you were saying there were 360 solutions.
Yeah, so there's 360 solutions, and basically, you know, there's so many different people in the space that, you know, like you're saying, collectors. There's a lot of collectors who are coming in here that, you know, want to collect art but don't have any background. So it's really
Right.
nice to, having been in the space, we just know this. So it's easy to kind of steer and help. And, you know, the same with artists. Some artists don't know the how to tokenize. You know, there's just so
What
many
works
things.
to offer when,
Yeah,
that's really
yeah,
important.
yeah. The strategy, you know, of being an artist in crypto is a complete 180 from the traditional world. And I battled with that, being that person. Whereas like, well, I mean, if you do it, usually your prints are like at least 50 or 100 prints, and that's a low run. You know, like usually prints are just what you do. But now it's like, oh my gosh, you do anything more than 10, and that's like, you know, career suicide. So, you know, it's some people coming in here might just say, yeah, 100, like make it rain. And then you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
dude, you have 5,000 tokens in 2 days. What did you just do? You know,
Right,
so,
right.
you know, and they didn't know, but maybe it's too late at that point. You know, you've flooded the market. So,
Or they're tokenizing every day, or, you know, three times a week for like a
yeah,
month straight,
yep.
you
And
know,
then they
just
don't have
trying to,
anything for 2 years because they
right.
spit everything out too fast. So I think,
Or collectors are burning their tokens because now the value of their work is, you know, absolute shite.
yeah, yeah. So there's so many parameters. So there's 1,000 different things to talk about with different people. So, you know, what we're building here is that 360 service where between my knowledge of crypto art and, you know, the blockchain art space and in general, and then PheOnix, with her background in curation and, you know, of events and everything, like we have these things that we like to share. So this is an extension of that where we can bring the community in and have kind of just have a party around it too. You know, we just want
Right.
to have fun. We're stuck inside still, so let's just keep having fun. Get into the metaverse more. We have another major event in February, which will be the next step from this.
Big
So
one, big event.
this is the big one. So Crypto Basel is music and film focused with obviously art in there. But then in February is the major gala where there's galleries, there's VR activations. It's, you know, that's the next step. So, you know, you're on a journey with us. So, you know, we appreciate you being here, and, you know, there's definitely growth happening quickly under the scenes.
I was just looking here. Thank you for that. Ronan the collector says, the space needs a platform for artists who can put out high volumes of work to accommodate a platform with a bit more collectible, quote unquote, as the focus versus high value art. I think we have that. I feel like Rarible is that space. You know, you can go to OpenSea, you can do that in OpenSea. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
think Ronan the collector, that's kind of already out there. It already exists.
yeah, I
And
think yeah, I think you're right about those. I mean, that's the thing is, if there's a better platform to be built, now's the time. That's the thing. It's like, well, maybe Ronan has that secret sauce in his head where he's like, he knows the intangibles that haven't been done, because this is platform, you know, 1.0 and 2.0 right now. You know, we're still
well,
getting.
yeah, but I mean, so he's saying the space needs a platform for artists who put out high volumes of work to accommodate.
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean,
Rarible,
wearable, you could do a
Rarible
million, I
accommodates
think.
that.
Yeah,
You can do 5,000 editions of
sure.
your work if you want to. You can have an unlimited. I've seen, you know, folks with unlimited editions on Rarible.
Yep, no, that's true. Yeah.
And one other thing I want to add before we get ready to welcome Chris is that you know, part of the reason why I've been successful as a curator, as someone who puts on events, as someone who's, you know, selling art as a virtual gallerist, is because of the relationships. Like I built relationships with all the MoGraph people and digital art people on Instagram very early on, before MoGraph and on Instagram was a thing. You know, I was one of the people who were, so I curated for really large, like million plus accounts on Instagram before I started doing it for myself, you know, for brands and such. And I would put up these guys and gals who I'd made relationships with who were digital artists, you know, doing animation, doing 3D, doing motion. And I'd be like, dude, I don't care. I want you to win. Let me post your art here. And they started winning. People got jobs. People, got opportunities they'd never had. People were finally eating from their artwork because, you know, HuffPost posted them, or whomever celebrity posted them because they reposted from one of the big accounts I was curating for. And so I really want to stress, especially in like a COVID kind of environment, your relationships are key, and I would say first, the relationship to yourself and with yourself is primary and key, and then yourself as an artist, as a human being in relationship to others, really wanting to see people win, really wanting to create massive value for people, and creating the conditions so that it is a reciprocal relationship. And if you find that it is not a reciprocal relationship, you can make adjustments. Don't get it too much in your feelings about it, and start labeling that person as the worst person to ever live, right? Find out how to pivot within you first, so that you understand the value of who you are, and someone's actions or opinion of you doesn't diminish your value and doesn't diminish how you see yourself, right? And then if you focus on making those strong pivots, if and when you find that a relationship isn't reciprocal, you can focus on being receptive to people, to opportunities that will be reciprocal. One thing I love about my relationship with Coldie is that we each have our strengths. Some of them are overlapping strengths. We have a reciprocal relationship. Coldie is whole, valued, seen, empowered, amazing in his own right. And when we come together, me as a whole, valued, seen, empowered, important person in my own right, we come together and we build something incredible. Coldie and I have never had beef. How many people can say that? Like, we have never actually had any beef at all. We value communicating with each other. That's a high value, and we value honesty and integrity. And because of that, we don't have beef. We're able to quickly work through things. When I see Coldie or listen to Coldie, my listening is from a point of value. This is someone who's important to me. This is someone whom I value, not only as a business partner, but as a friend in my life, as a collaborator. I think that as artists and as creative people, we could listen differently for the brilliance from ourselves, but also listen differently to hear the brilliance and see the greatness in those around us, those we're in community with. And so coming together with Coldie and putting on Crypto Basel, especially being music based, has a sort of like for me, a slight esoteric meaning, in that when we come together as a community, it's really a big jam session, And when you're able to make beautiful music with people that you're in community with, it just feels good. Like, I love talking to Coldie. I love figuring out what we're going to do next. I feel like he and I make beautiful music together. And my goal in life, I say I have a song in my heart, and I want to share the music with everyone I come in contact with. So when I'm in relationship with people and we're able to make good music together, like our jam sessions are incredible, then I feel good. I get more life, and I'm able to share that energy and life with the community. And I think that if we, you don't have to hold my philosophies or Coldie's philosophies, but if you're able to develop and refine a personal philosophy for yourself that you can infuse into your work, I really believe that that work and the legacy you're building will be a forever thing. The music will keep spinning forever for you in your personal economy and in your community and in this greater crypto community at large. So
yeah, that's great. Yeah. Thanks for those nice words. I totally agree.
Are you crying now? I saw you wipe your eye.
Am I crying?
I'm kidding.
Yes. Yeah, you brought me to tears. No, I think that's nice of you to say, and I agree. I think it's, if you don't have a good team, you're not going to build anything great. So, we have a great core here, and I think, we're just starting. So we won't bring it up too many times, but it's a group of two right now. Actually, there's three of us in this event also. Shelley Leopold's been great
She's
with
our advisor. She's
yeah,
amazing.
Shelly's awesome, and so
Shout
Shelly's
out
been
to
advising.
Shelly.
Yeah, Shelly's been awesome. She's been advising and kind of bringing in her special sauce as well. So it's all about having a team that has like-minded goals and aspirations, and all you can do is keep building. And if you aren't having fun doing it, that's when you need to take a step and see what you're doing. If you're spending your life in the right way, because I love doing this. Like after all my work is done and it's nighttime and I have my free time. I actually like doing this. So it's not a chore. It's actually joy. So I think that's important. Also, anybody who's spending their time doing something they don't like, do the needful, but also kind of reevaluate if you can pivot to make it more enjoyable, or if you absolutely hate it, maybe consider what you would want to do instead. Because we're alive right now, so be alive
Right.
and and
Right.
and do you. Don't do what somebody else wants you to do because that's their expectation. So um, anyways, I digress.
No,
Um,
that's good. That's really good advice. I think that it's important to, these are just nuggets, man. These are just nuggets that I think need to be, these are just nuggets that I think need to be expressed. I mean, folks are going through really hard times right now,
yeah,
and folks are going through a big shift. I mean, it's a huge shift right now, and folks are thinking about ways that they can do life differently. And I think that for me, one aspect I realized about 2020 and maybe enjoying things differently is actually putting a premium on my personal joy, right, and on my professional joy, right? So if there's a premium on joy for me, then my North Star and how I organize my life will have joy at the center, right? Or will lead with joy. And, I'm not saying it has to be all like good times because it's not going to be, but if joy is at the center, you can still count it joy, even though you're being challenged. Challenge and hard times are not necessarily synonymous. Our challenge and quote, not having fun are not necessarily synonymous. You can still be having fun and full of joy and being challenged, life kicking your ass. But joy is that rudder. Joy is in the sails. Joy is the thing that's moving you through life. Yeah, so that's all. Let's read some of the comments. Let's see. Coldie, do you want to take a couple of the questions? I see that there's like a pretty healthy chat happening.
yeah. Let me hop in and see what we got. Yeah, thanks Ronan for those. I think that what you're talking about on the platform is great. Um, Panther Moon is active in there. Let's see. I'm getting lots of yos and hellos. Oh, let's see. Yeah, most of that, Brian Brinkman was hopping in about the Rarible stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is, getting to know the platforms because, we were having this conversation last night where there are so many platforms, but in a good way, because there's different use cases and different needs for different platforms. I think we would all fail if we were simply had one platform. I don't think that would be a good solution. So it's great because you have some platforms that are, one of ones, and there's some that do one of ones and additions. There's some that do fiat payments. There's some that only do Ethereum. There's so many, and then inside of those, there's different congregations of styles. You might go to, I'll tell you when I go to Known Origin, it's a different set aesthetic when I'm going there than I would see at Makers, and Makers is different than Super Rare. There's crossover, but I go to different places for different wants. Like if I'm like, oh, I want a piece of abstract art, I can go to different platforms. In my past, I might have found more success in a certain platform with a different style. So I think that it's great to have these conversations because we can learn from each other. Like maybe someone didn't know you could do a million tokens on Rarible and you don't have to be onboarded for that. So go do your thing right now. If you have that million token idea and you can sell, you know, $1 each million tokens, make that mill, right? I think it's just great to have this talk. And I see Chris, or I see Jillian right here.
Hey, what's up, Chris?
Good, how you guys doing?
Good, good, good. Thanks for joining us today.
Sorry for the delay.
Oh, no worries. Are you off the road now? Have you made it out the jungle?
No, we probably have like another, I guess, hour and a half, 2 hours again before we get to the place.
Wow.
Just
Wow. Okay. You know what we might do, if it's cool with you? Why don't we, since you're moving through the jungle right now, so you're in Mexico.
Yes.
And yeah, it's a little bit hard to hear because there's like music in the background and stuff. So why don't we actually see if we can slide you in at another time. That way, when you're not on the road, we have the benefit of, you know, your full attention and can get all these jewels that you want to drop on the community. Does that sound good? Hello. Yeah, well, let's just make the executive decision. That's what we're going to do. Oh, there he is.
Oh, sorry, I was talking and it was, oh my God. I said, let's you just keep in touch and I'll let you know once I get landed safely.
Awesome, that works. I like the music in the background. Sounds like you guys are jamming.
A little bit.
Okay, bye, Chris. Thank you.
Oh, hey, Chris. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So yeah, so we'll hear from Jillian later. We'll slide him in. We have a little space where we can get him in there. We'll bring him back, and you guys can hear from his experience and the wealth of knowledge he has from, you know, working with Major Laser for about 10 years. He's also a technologist. He actually has a background in like IT nuclear, what is it? Let me look at my notes here. Something like wild, where I was like, wait, what? You never know who's done what. I'd love to hear from people in the audience. What were you doing in your former life and what are you doing now? I, in my former life, had a distribution company distributing consumer packaged goods across the world, in Japan and in the United States. I also was the COO at a startup beverage company for fresh pressed juices, turmeric and ginger base. I also have a background in biomedical engineering and in like a kind of, I was going to say another life, but it's actually this life, making VR applications for people with neurodegenerative disease, inspired by my grandmother. So, yeah.
I'll kind of hop in my past experiences. You know, most of my professional career has been graphic design and art direction. And while doing that, I've always been entrepreneurial with my off time. So this is just on the same path, right? I'm always doing new things. One of the first ones I did actually was back in the day. Me and my buddy co-created a water pipe that got the best product from High Times in 2006. And
did you say like a water product? What did you call it?
A water pipe.
A water pipe. Okay.
Water pipe. a gravity bong, if you've heard of those. And it won the best product from High Times. We got to go to, you know, crazy Vegas trade shows with. I shot pool with Too Short. You know, like
nice.
some weird things, right?
Did you smoke weed with Snoop Dogg too?
Busta Rhymes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so that was a crazy, you know, a startup, you know, with just bootstrapping and learning how to guerrilla market. And that was super fun. It was before medical or anything was even like really hitting. So it was a little bit almost ahead of its time, which was fine. And then after that, I was in actually a VR startup in 2008, basically.
Wow.
And that came to a kibosh when the crash of the market happened. You know, we were getting the seed funding. It was great, the great team, the events. You know, Mike Tyson was at one of our events, and it was great. You know, we were
He's
doing
he's
cool
in weed
stuff.
now.
What's that?
He's doing weed now. Mike
Good.
Tyson has a weed company. I forget the name of
Nice.
it. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw clips from the charity fight he did, and he's all zenned out. He didn't care about having a draw. I'm like, wow, that's so Mike Tyson 2020. It's great.
Well, yeah, they set up the rules so that there was no winner and no loser. I
Okay.
thought that was really interesting too. So truly there for the beauty of the sport.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, that was a startup I was in. So it's kind of funny. The VR is not coming back around. You know, it took it took 12 years for it to come back around. But it's like those seed plantings way back when, where it was like, man, this is pretty cool, way far ahead of the time. But now it's caught back up, and it makes more sense of why I was intrigued way back then, because it's coming back around. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. And then, just I've gotten more and more into art making because of crypto art, obviously. So it's just merging the day life with the passion life, and trying to rebalance the passion to become more of the day life. That's the equilibrium.
And keeping at it.
Exactly. It's tenacious. I've fallen on my face so many times, and I'm thankful for those. It's the time where you're just like, ooh, I tried my best. It didn't come out how I wanted to, but I'm gonna, get the blood off my face, wipe off my jeans, and like run twice as hard. I'm still falling on my face. It's great. And I'll continue to. So, but each time, you get the calluses, and you build and you grow. So
yeah, it's that pressure that makes diamonds, essentially.
Totally.
Right. Let's look at what some of the commenters are saying. Does Lady feed to a podcast or anything about positive mindset? Thanks, Ronan. I appreciate that. I do have a podcast. It's the Yes Universe podcast I have with a gentleman called Larry with iHeartRadio. We haven't been doing it lately because most of what we were doing was in the studio at iHeart in San Francisco. But we will be starting up again in the new year, in 2021. And maybe we should make it all about positive mindset. It's essentially been about looking at the careers of artists, and primarily from the entertainment angle, a lot of actors, musicians, some, not a couple of like three not famous people, just regular artists who are doing their thing and have a healthy practice. But yeah, we'll be bringing it back. Thanks for asking.
That's a great question.
We love Major Lazer too, by the way. So Panther Modern says, I was touring the EU and US. I actually did a full EU tour at the beginning of this year, and feeling very lucky right now. Panther Modern, why are you feeling lucky? Because you did the tour, or is there anything else like special connected to that? Please let us know. And Brian says, oh, wow, that VR concept sounds incredible. Yeah. You know what, Coldie, your artwork would look amazing in VR. That lenticular stuff, forget it.
Yeah, I mean,
That would be sick.
So I mean, that's definitely like I have lots of little things in the R&D thing, like in process, and I'm actually actively going into that space in a couple of different ways. One of those being, I have a pretty solid collection of 3D concert photography that I've been shooting for the past 10 years, and I have those in VR, and and that is probably the most fantastic thing. So kind of talking about passions, back in 2008, right around the same time as the VR thing, I was thriving in LA, and I joined this 3D club of Los Angeles, and literally it was once a month we'd go into a church basement, and it was every month they would show slideshows of stereoscopic photos and film, and people would give presentations. It was the nerdiest thing you've ever seen, and the average age was 60. Like literally, we're saying there was people in their 80s. Like there was a scale, right? So Coldie walks in. I was like 22, and they're first of all like, are you lost? You know, like you're the club's down the road. I was like, no, I'm here to learn about 3D, and they welcomed me in. Like I was able to excel because these veterans and these literal legends that were just doing their passion for 60 years were offloading their best practices onto me with love. Like they all told me that, like, Coldie, like we need people like you to carry the torch of 3D photography and stereoscopics, because it's a lost art that people aren't learning about because it's not in fashion. It's not this thing. And I just, I learned how to do 3D from the two of the very best 3D comic book artists of all time. Ray Zone. If you look up Ray Zone, he's done over 200 3D comic books. He was the go-to guy for decades. He taught me how to do, my first 3D poster was for LA Weekly Music Festival. I learned from Ray firsthand. He taught me his secret, like, Pantone colors and things. He's like, I don't tell anybody this stuff, but I want you to know this. And he's passed on since then. So, you get these nuggets of love. He didn't have to tell me his secret sauce, but he knew that at some point he wasn't going to be able to use those, and that he wanted that to go to somebody good, right? So I learned how to do that. Fast forward, I know, I love Ray, and
well, it's such a good story.
yeah, and here's a little crazier one. Even I moved home from Los Angeles. I was just done with the city. I want to move back to the woods and the rivers, and get back to my roots, literally. And I was on Facebook, and this wacky dude, older guy in his 60s, had anaglyph 3D glasses on Facebook, and he lived like one small town over. And I was like, why not? Let's just chat this guy up. I hit him up, come to learn. He learned 3D from Ray 20 years prior to me.
No way.
Yes. And in the process became better than Ray, and was doing stuff for like the Freak Brothers, which is a super famous comic book from the hippie days. Mm-hmm. He was his own legend. We became friends, and I've actually sold some collaborative works, our light painting of the cars. All the light paintings, those are me and Roger May.
Nice.
And Roger, same thing. He taught me his secret sauce, and he passed away recently as well. So these legends, I had an indelible impact on me, and I think about them whenever I'm doing something cool. They're looking down like, hell yeah, like, keep it going. So, love to all.
Go Coldie.
Yeah, no, that's part of, like, now I'm getting teared up. Now those are the relationships that matter.
Yeah.
And with that, I learned 3D photography, and I got photo passes to Coachella for 2 years, all access, because they were like, I did the 3D poster. It was with Golden Voice, who is the promoter for Coachella. So networking, right? I call up my people, and from the festival I did, and say, hey, I'm shooting 3D concert pictures. Can I get a photo pass? And first of all, they're like, wait, a what? You're shooting a what picture? And I said, 2 cameras, super experimental. I don't even know if it'll work. Like, I'm going to try it on the biggest stage, right? Literally. They're like, go for it. You're just like, whatever. Yes. So I literally got 2 years of the biggest bands in the world in 3D. And after that, that was the networking key that got me into Incubus and Flaming Lips and Red Hot Chili Peppers and Pixies and all my favorite bands. I didn't shoot the shit bands because it was passion. I could have shot Celine Dion. I totally could have gotten that photo pass. But
wait, hold on. In case she's watching, when you said I didn't shoot the shit bands,
photograph. Yeah.
And then you named Celine Dion. I just want to say to any her representatives, her agents, or her friends, We're not saying that Celine Dion is shit.
This is coming from a Soundgarden fan, so you know.
We're not saying Celine Dion is shit. She's just not rock and roll.
She's not on my style. Yeah, love you, Celine. Keep it on. But you know, I got to photograph my dream bands, and that was the point of the passion. So that's what got me to the next step. I got to shoot Soundgarden. Like, and now Chris Cornell is not with us. I have the only 3D pictures of Chris Cornell. Not bragging, but that's what happens.
Oh, you should brag.
Yeah,
you should brag.
That's what you do when you set yourself up with passion. It comes back, right? So now I'm taking those, bring them into VR. And when I first shot these in 2008, it was a distant glimmer that someday I could look at these pictures in full color digital, because there wasn't VR. I had to do the 3D glasses, which greatly impacts color pictures because it's a red and a blue. It's a shit show.
Right.
I was like, someday this catalog will be able to be seen. And you know, I've gotten help by some awesome people. Boombox Head, who's super active in the community.
Shout out to Boombox Head.
Shout out to Boombox Head. I've had these conversations, and people in the same way sharing passions back, where he's like, dude, let me get under the hood and see what we can do. And we put it together, and I've looked at these pictures in VR, and they literally made me cry, because it was that future forethought of someday, you know, it's just like somewhere over the rainbow. Like, I literally saw the fucking rainbow, and I was like, it really wasn't just this kooky like hypothesis. It's here. So
right.
When I can do that 3D concert photo VR show, that is when we party, because that is my, like, one of my opuses. You know, that's, oh God, that gets me riled up. Like, cause I just want to, they're sitting on my freaking computer, and I look at them, I'm like, I'll bring my family in. I'm like,
can we see one of them? Is that possible?
To
see one, just
one. Yeah. Give me 1 second. I have something here.
Okay.
It's then the hard thing is like, basically, so when you're doing 3D, every time you export it, it's a different format. So I'd want to show something that people could at least understand, because like when you do it for real, there's like two pictures next to each other. Like, what's that? I could show a Coachella picture here.
Threw my 3D glasses on just for this moment.
Yeah, if you have your 3D glasses, yeah, for sure.
If you have your 3D glasses, guys, get them out. I love how this has turned into actually me interviewing Coldie.
This is not intended, everybody.
This is great, though. This is really great. I'm totally going to change the name of this. I'm totally going to I have to change the name, because Jillionaire wasn't able to. He was driving through the jungle. But yeah, I love this like intimate look at the life and practice of Coldie, and how many people actually know your passions and know, you know, your mindsets around these things and know what you're excited about. I know that you did a interview with Havo from Curating Crypto.
Yep.
Which is a great interview. Everyone, please go check that out, and shout out to Havo at Curating Crypto. He's fantastic. But yeah, I love that, you know, we know more about you. I cannot wait to see your concert posters in 3D. Also, shout out to J Shaft 807, who just joined the chat. What's up, guy? Yeah, see, this is going to be so rad. And because you bring it into the VR space, you now have the opportunity to tweak it in different ways, right?
Yeah.
That you weren't able to when it was just the standard blue and red. So I'm really excited for you. Oh, yeah.
So like, so these are all from Coachella 2010.
Nice.
Partly because I just have them able right here on my machine. So imagine. Okay, so I've been to literally 1,000 concerts. I spent my life savings. Every time I got a paycheck, I was going to the show. I was waiting in line 10 hours to be front and center for my favorite show, because I knew it was going to be important. And every time I spent that 10 hours, I would experience the scene. I would see the roadies come in. I would see the band come into sound check. I would see the whole operation. And then I would literally, when they opened the door, sprint past the merch booth. I didn't care what the poster was. I'm going to the front and I got my hands on the railing. And I was like, mission accomplished, right? I'm exhausted. I haven't had lunch. I still got to go pee somehow, but I'm
Did you bathe? Did you at least bathe?
Maybe. Yeah. but everyone was stinky, so it didn't matter, right? So, but what happened was I'm on the railing, and then when the show starts, in come these photographers in front of me, and I was like, how do I get there? You know, I'm in the front, but they're in front of me and being creative. Like, that's totally my jam.
Totally.
And I watched them for years. Just watched them. It's like, wow, what a spectacular job these people have. Like, wow, how are you getting this? So you know what I did? I started my own 3D magazine because I have a background. I'm a graphic designer, and I worked for LA Weekly doing magazines. So I said, I spun up my own magazine, and I went to the labels and the publicists, and I pitched them the 3D magazine. And I said, I'm shooting for Stereo Man 3D magazine. We are featuring your band. I would like a photo pass, you know, just like any normal request.
Yeah.
And you know what? The funny thing was, I was so far, I wasn't Getty, I wasn't Rolling Stone, I wasn't LA Times, but I was that weird anomaly where they were like, oh, like they'd write me back, they're like, this is weird. Like, we don't know how we would ever use this stuff, but if we have a spot, you are the guy, right? So literally the day of the show, I would have my bag packed without an approval. Like, there was no, you're in. But sometimes it would be 3 hours before the set, and I'd have to drive to San Francisco 2 hours, right? So I was like literally on call, and then they would say, we got a spot, and I bust it down there, shoot the Chili Peppers for 3 songs, and then leave. I couldn't even watch the show. So I would literally drive 5 hours to shoot 15 minutes of photos, and there was no better experience. That was like
100% worth it.
That was it. Like, that was exactly why I was doing what I was doing, because I walked out of there. I have Red Hot Chili Pepper pictures in 3D that are amazing.
Yeah.
You know? So it's just consistency and like putting yourself out there. I've gotten denied like 10 times more than I've gotten accepted for shows, like over and over and over. But it's those little ones, like the Flaming Lips are like, that's sick as fuck. Like, you want to shoot 3D? They let me shoot their whole show. Like, I've shot 3 Flaming Lip shows for 3 hours each time. Like, just because they wouldn't kick me out. Why do you leave if they're not going to kick you out? You
Totally.
don't. So I can go through a couple of these quickly.
Yeah.
This is Josh Homme. He's the lead singer of Queens of the Stone Age. And this is actually a super group he did with Dave Grohl, who's Foo Fighters and Nirvana, on drums. This is the Dave Grohl shot. It's very hard to shoot a picture of a drummer at all, and also hard to get 3D depth because they're so far away. It's a logistical issue. But I got this awesome shot of Dave's face with the stick and the lights in the background. Here's another. It's Coldie story time. Another here. There's a theme. I set myself up, right? I envision what I want, and then it manifests, right?
There you go.
Okay.
Let's just pause on that little nugget for a moment.
Yeah.
You envision what you want, and then you manifest. And what's so interesting is I'm looking at all of these photos. I'm like, dude, they have apps for this now, right? Fast forward 10, 12 years later, they actually. When did you shoot these? In 2010. So fast forward 10 years later, and they have apps that are doing what you were doing raw, you know?
Yeah.
Raw. I love that. So the app came along to do exactly what you and other creative artists have been doing. And I like to say that, you know, artists who are doing it from the pixel, meaning raw and real and no gimmicks. There you go. Dang.
Check this out.
Hold on, let me put that like on the large. Let me see if we can get.
Oh yeah, I can stop sharing if you want.
Yeah, stop sharing just so we can look at that camera.
So these are the toys that I keep around. So this, if you know what Holga film is, it's 120 film, which is like super kind of a retro chic thing. And there, I don't know if it's still a fad, but back when I
Hold
was,
it up one more time, Goldie. Hold it up one more time.
so it's got 2 lenses, right? And I'm not sure how many they sold, but I I was one of the first ones. I was like, I need that. So
Yeah.
I bought a 3D Holga camera, and you can only shoot 6 pictures per roll. So I would have the 3D Holga with me. I have another one that has 4 lenses, and
Wow.
each of those I would have around my neck as well as the digital. And I would go to these shows and I would be rapid firing digital. And then whenever that sweet picture at the right, it's all math, a lot of math in 3D. Whenever the right distance was happening, I'd pop up the Holga, snap it, right? And I knew and I had to wind the film by hand. You know, it's like trench warfare when you're shooting these concert pictures, because
Yeah.
my camera would fail halfway through and I would be resetting the bios with a ticking clock, right? Like you have to troubleshoot. So I'd have all these options. If this is failing, I'll go here. If this is failing, I'll go here. Um, so whatever. That was just a side tangent of the tools of the trade.
No, it's awesome. Do you have any more like
Yeah,
cameras that we
let
can
me
look
tell you
at?
the quick Dave Grohl story, the manifestation one. So I went to the show that was a benefit for a guy named Dimebag Darrell,
Wow.
who was I think he was like a metal legend. I'm going to get it wrong. I'm going to say Pantera. I might be right, but it was Dimebag Darrell. It was a benefit for him, and Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains was there, and Dave Grohl was there. And I was like, I'm not going to miss these guys. It was at the Roxy on Sunset Strip. I was like, I'm totally going to that. They kicked ass. After the show, I was hanging out with my concert buddies, like we always do, just talking for 2 hours on the street. And it was like 12:30 at night, and I was exhausted. I was like, guys, I just gotta go. Prior to all this, I knew that Dave Grohl was going to be there, and I threw into my car this this 3D picture on a little board that I had made, just this little 3D picture, and it was in my bedroom. And I was like, well, if I happen to see Dave Grohl, then I can give him this as a gift, you know? So I threw it in my car. I walk down the street, up this little embankment to this parking place. It wasn't right next to the studio or the concert hall. I shit you not, Dave Grohl is parked 2 cars away from me talking to 2 people at 12:30 at night. Like I wasn't stalking the guy. I was trying to go home. And I was like, oh my God, like like this is actually happening, right? So I just politely waved to Dave. I'm like a little bit behind. I'm like, hey, like don't leave. I'm not a weirdo. Just like want to say hi. He's like, cool, dude. You know, give me a couple minutes. So they have their talk. They walk away, and Dave he doesn't have a security guard. It's just Dave Grohl standing there. He's like, kind of waves me over, like it's cool. Come on over. So I was starstruck. You know, I grew up with this guy, and I was so nervous. I was like, oh my God. I was like, dude, thank you for your time. I just wanted to share with you this 3D picture I took of you back at Coachella, and I think it had been 2 years since then. And he put the 3D glasses on, and he's standing like 2 feet from me saying, oh my God, I've never seen 3D pictures. Is this them crooked vultures? Oh my God, he was blown away. And he's like, this works so rad. And I was like, awesome. I said, this is for you, Dave. I don't want anything from you. I don't want an autograph. I don't want a picture. I'm not that guy. And I just said, this is thank you. And the only thing that popped in my head was your art inspires my art, right? So, you know, all these years of listening to Nirvana or all these years of listening to the Foo Fighters, that creativity is what I try to harness in my own little way when I create, because they're putting their best foot forward. So I'm going to do the same. So I said that to him, and he stopped and he's like, thanks, dude. Like I didn't want anything from the guy, but we had that little moment, and I got to share a gift, and then it was done, and he was gone. It was just the most beautiful thing, and I had forethought that experience, and it happened. So it was just a freaking beautiful synchronicity there. This is Julian Casablancas from The Strokes. And if you have red and blue 3D glasses, throw them on. And they'll be in full color 3D and VR. But this is actually one of my most favorite ones. This is, oh gosh, I butcher his name, but he's the lead singer of MGMT. And this was when MGMT was hitting. This was the peak of MGMT. And they were headlining the side stage at Coachella, which was a big deal for them at that point. They hadn't gotten main stage cred. So, you know, I got these awesome, just the emotion of him singing these songs that I was creating to literally the weekend beforehand. I would be in my room creating art, listening to this exact song, and now I was photographing it. It had just a huge impact on me. The side thing I love is actually turning around from the stage and shooting the crowd, because I think they are the unsung heroes in a live show, because as a photographer, there's this weird space that you're in, because you have the band on one side that's giving their all, right? And you literally can feel the energy when they're hitting. And then on the other side, you have the crowd, which is also, when they're hitting, there's an energy. And when those two things hit, it's absolute chaos in the middle energy-wise, because you're not doing either activity. You're not in the crowd and you're not on stage, but you're getting hit from both sides with this massive energy. And I felt it at Coachella, and it was actually this picture that personifies that energy. Okay, so it had become dark at Coachella, and my camera rig at the time was not what it is now. It was 2 point and shoot cameras that were good, but they don't have a big sensor in them, if you know about photography. So as soon as the light's gone, you're kind of screwed, right? So here I am in the pit, and this is Hot Chip, who is one of the biggest dance bands. I don't know if you call it, they're not EDM, but they're just like dance rock from the UK. And I love them. And I'd never seen a crowd go as wild and crazy as this set. And I got hit with this energy wave, and I had to figure out how to get some pictures. So I ended up doing long exposure photography, and I used my arm as a fulcrum. And basically I would create these little experiments. I'd never done it before, but I was like, I got to get something out of this. So I was doing these things where I would do like a 10-second shot where I would hold the camera and do like a little wipe down and then bring it back. I didn't know what was going to happen. And I got this spiral blur picture of Hot Chip, which to this day reminds me of my favorite concert photographer. Oh, I don't have the picture here. Oh, yeah. So yeah, have a library around because it comes in handy. Charles Peterson. If you were into rock music in the 90s, he shot all the concert photos. He did the Nirvanas, he did the Pearl Jams, the Soundgardens. I'm a Charles Peterson fanboy. So when I have a chance to experiment like him, he would do long exposures with streaks of light. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the Charles Peterson opportunity, right? So, and I harnessed it, and I got some pretty crazy, there's other shows that are even crazier with the light streaks, because you don't know what's going to happen until later. So yeah, I mean, 3D concert photography is my jam. I wrote I sent packages to Rolling Stone and Spin. I was like, are you guys looking for a staff 3D concert photographer? And they're like, no, we're not. not at all, but thanks. So it's, you know, you just keep throwing yourself out there and seeing what sticks. So long story short, this passion is coming into bloom. It'll be early next year, and I can't wait to just have people throw their VR goggles on and we can have a party and look at some pictures together. So yeah, that's that.
Coldie, that was awesome. Also, the name of that musician from MGMT is Andrew
Yes.
Wingarden.
Yes, the last
Andrew
one.
von Wingarden.
Yes.
Yeah, really
Yes, thank you.
incredible. You're welcome. I think that we can wrap it up from here, unless anyone has any questions in the audience that you'd like us to ask right now. You can also, you know, hit up the Twitter at CryptoArt Advisor or at Coldie. Let's see. Thank you, Panther Modern.
Brandon Rell wrote about the Dave Grohl story. Yeah, it's fun to share that one. That's just one of those crazy things when you're in the situation. And to me, the last thing I'll leave with you is we all have these situations in our life, right? The most important thing that I could ever impress on somebody is, as wild of a moment as it ever is, even if it's 1 minute long, take yourself out of that moment and snapshot it. You know, like, and I've done this where it's just like, remember this moment. And if you make that conscious point of doing that, it makes it so much easier to recall it later, because you're setting the intent in your mind to kind of like encapsulate that thing and then throw it into a little bubble. And while I was with Dave Grohl, I just made that intention of like, I am never going to have this experience ever again. Even if I met Dave Grohl again, it would not be this serendipitous occurrence. And I think that when we do those things, it's so easy to let it fly by and not give it the real like appreciation for what the universe or whatever you believe brought all that together. That's the magic of life. And that's why I enjoy being alive, because those things, they just pop up. You don't know, but they do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Coldie. Do you want to exit the screen?
Oh,
and
sure.
we'll say sayonara to everyone. Yeah, remember this moment. That's actually going to be the title of our talk. This is going to be how we kicked off Crypto Basel 2020. Remember this moment.
Love it.
Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. I am your host, Lady Phoenix, joined by my partner in rhyme and crypto, Coldie. We've had an amazing morning kicking off Crypto Basel, and we thank you for being here. Please join us at 11 o'clock, where Coldie is going to talk to our crypto tax fixer and answer all your questions regarding taxes. So make sure that you tune in. Make sure you jot your questions down and definitely jot the answers down. Look forward to seeing you guys at 11.